Welcome back to the Big Thinker universe. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite tools that I use with my coaching clients and that I use with my own business. Basically, this is the heaven or hell exercise, and it's really, really simple. We have four quadrants. Two on the left are things that I love doing. The two on the right are things that I hate doing. And basically, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I believe we must design our weeks. If we don't, we default to doing things we hate and we end up in our own personal hell. So I usually do this in three versions. The first round, I do it myself as the business owner. What are the things I love? What are the things I hate? Then I do it for my business with my management team. So as a business, what are the things we love doing? What are the things we hate doing? And then the last thing I do, the third round, is I get my individual employees to do it. And the goal is wherever possible, we want people to be spending as much of their week in their heaven as possible. Now, full caveat, we're not ever going to always eliminate the things we hate doing, the hell side, but in a perfect world, we should be doing the things we love at least 50, 60% of the time, if not more. So the idea is one person's heaven is another person's hell and vice versa. So we want to identify the things we don't want to do. And then once we figured that out, we look at what can we eliminate, what can we automate, and what can we delegate in that order. Now, eliminate, there are things that we should just stop doing. They're not in the best interest of the company. They're not the most effective. They're not the most efficient. We should eliminate them. There are things that we can automate with technology, whether it's streamlining with artificial intelligence, or maybe it's simple automations using something like Zapier. But there are things we do manually that could be better done by computer. For example, my podcast, I use an artificial intelligence to transcribe it. I use another artificial intelligence to clean it up. The final thing, once we've eliminated everything we can, automated everything we can, then we delegate. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people aren't taught how to delegate, so they just abdicate. They stop doing something or say, well, you do it, you figure it out. We're going to talk about how AI can help with delegating. So those are my three power moves. If you eliminate, automate, and delegate, you can free up some time in your week. So let's come back to the heaven or hell. And the reality is the top left, the things we're not doing yet, but we want to start, these should be the highest and best use of our specific time. And reality is we're usually so busy doing the things on the right that we never get to these. And the reason we don't ever get to them is we don't prioritize them. So first things first, we want to list the things that we know we should be doing for our business to move it forward. So these are the 10x activities, the strategic activities, the things we don't have time for, but we should make time for because they're they're important, but not urgent. So again, I'm referring to language from the Covey or Eisenhower matrix, but things that are strategic, they're never urgent and they're easy to forget to do. So we want to list those. So for me, things not doing yet but want to start, that might be having guests on my podcast. But again, these are the things we don't make the time for because we haven't ever thought them through. So I highly recommend you think through what are the things you'd love to do that would move your business forward. What are the strategies you should implement? What are the strategic relationships you should nurture? This is the quadrant that can have the biggest impact on your business if done well. Now, the second quadrant, the bottom left, is things that I'm currently doing but would like to do more of. So I might, right now I'm doing podcasting, but I'd like to do more of it. So we're looking at the things again that are important in the business and that will have a big impact. So I would argue this is the important, urgent, because obviously it's important enough and urgent enough that I've started to do it. But if I did more of it, like I said, it's more, for me personally, this is more strategic things. I love to do the strategy of things. I'm not a big fan of the minutia and the detail. Now, on the right, and by the way, there will be things that make my list of my heaven that still, even if I put it on my list, it maybe doesn't belong there. So I eliminate it, or maybe I can automate it, or maybe I can delegate it. The important thing is this is the strategic stuff that makes a big impact on the business for my, as the founder, as the owner, this is where my important stuff goes. Now, on the right-hand side, using the language from Stephen Covey, these are the things that are not important, but sometimes they feel urgent. And so these are things that keep me busy. And basically on the top right, I'm doing these things, but I could stop altogether. So this is where we're looking at the Pareto principle. We're identifying the things that don't have that big an impact. For example, my audience is not on Instagram. So if I had an Instagram account and I was spending a bunch of money on Instagram or a bunch of time, one of the things I would commit to stop doing is stopping the Instagram activity. Now, I knew this before I started, therefore I'm not on Instagram. I'm just giving you an example. If you look at your week and you've got a whole bunch of meetings that aren't actually productive, you can find ways to stop doing those things. Now, the bottom right, there are things that I'm doing but could be delegated. And one of the challenges I find for people is, so the currently doing but want to stop, we either need to eliminate or automate as much as possible. The currently doing but could delegate, we want to automate or delegate as much as possible. So by putting it in that bottom category, we're assuming it shouldn't be eliminated or can't be eliminated, but it can probably be automated or delegated. So, for example, I hate doing manual notes for my podcast. I've figured out how to automate that. And once I've automated it, then I can delegate it to someone else to deal with it instead of me. So the whole point of the heaven or hell is to look at our calendar, look where we're spending our time and just do a little bit of an assessment. If all of our activities are on the hell side, guess what? We're leading to burnout. We're going to be overstressed and we're not going to love what we're doing. If we move more onto the left-hand side, the heaven side, then we will enjoy what we're doing. So my challenge to you is to identify the things that are heaven or hell. And for the heaven, how can you do more of it? For the hell, how can you eliminate, automate, or delegate?